we have seen throughout Britain and around the world an overwhelming expression of sadness at Diana's death. So what I say to you now, as your queen and as a grandmother, I say from my heart. First, I want to pay tribute to Diana myself.
Princess Diana passed away in 1997, and that shook the world. And with it, a flurry of conspiracy theories. Some claim that Diana's passing in Paris was not an accident, but a carefully orchestrated plot by the British royal family, the British government, or other powerful figures. The most compelling element of these theories is the idea that Diana was removed because she was too dangerous, having knowledge of state secrets or potentially embarrassing information that could damage the royal family's reputation.
HIV does not make people dangerous to know, so you can shake their hands and give them a hug. Heaven knows they need it.
The incident itself was chaotic. Diana, along with her companion Dodi Fayed and their driver Henri Paul, were pursued by paparazzi through Paris before crashing in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. The paparazzi chase, coupled with the circumstances surrounding the crash, has fueled skepticism. Some theorists suggest that the crash was planned to eliminate Diana, citing the supposed involvement of the royal family and even MI6, the British Secret Service.
There were lots of things that the French police did that really are inexplicable.
Despite these claims, official investigations, including a French judicial inquiry and a lengthy inquest in the UK, have concluded that the crash was a tragic accident caused by the reckless driving of the chauffeur, Henri Paul, who was later found to be under the influence of alcohol.
His alcohol reading was 3 times normal amount. He lost control of the car, and it's possible that he was mixing alcohol with prescription medicines for depression and driving way too fast to try and outpace the paparazzi.
The paparazzi chase, though contributing to the chaos, did not directly cause the crash, according to the evidence presented. While many accept the official findings, a segment of the population still believes Diana's passing was far from accidental. It remains a haunting topic, full of unanswered questions and fuel for speculation.
She predicted her death in a violent accident, precisely, in a sense, the kind that happened. That note is an extraordinary feature of this case. This confirmed my personal belief that this wasn't a straightforward car accident.
Earth is hollow.
Just scratched the surface of the Earth. We drilled down like 8 miles and we had to stop because it got too hot. Out of 4,000 miles, basically, to the core of the Earth, we went down 8. That's nothing.
Deep within the realm of outlandish conspiracies lies the hollow Earth theory, a belief that our planet isn't solid, but instead hollow, containing a hidden inner world with entire civilizations living beneath the surface. The idea has sparked imaginations for centuries, suggesting that entrances to this subterranean world can be found at the North and South Poles, and that explorers have even stumbled upon these mysterious openings. It's a concept straight out of adventure novels and science fiction, with visions of vast, untouched lands and unknown beings living out of sight. The theory gained popularity in the 17th and 18th centuries, and even influenced early science fiction writers. Today, the belief still persists, though with little to no credible evidence backing it up. Geology, however, paints a very different picture. Extensive studies of seismic activity and the Earth's structure have shown that the planet's interior is made up of a solid outer crust, a semi-liquid mantle, and a dense, solid core. No scientific data supports the idea of vast caverns or entire civilizations beneath our feet. The theory continues to intrigue some, but it remains firmly in the realm of fantasy, not reality. The Hollow Earth theory is still alive as a part of pop culture and conspiracy lore, whether it's the allure of hidden worlds or the simple curiosity of what might lie beneath. This outlandish theory still captures the imagination of many.
It's rumored that when Admiral Byrd's task force actually got to Antarctica, that one of the first things they discovered was an entrance into a Hollow Earth civilization that was populated by very, very advanced beings.
Fake pandemic theory.
The pandemic may be over, but millions are still dealing with the COVID-19 virus's effects. The CDC estimates nearly 20 million Americans are struggling with the effects of long COVID.
In 2020, the world was rocked by a virus that quickly spread across the globe, sparking a pandemic that would change lives forever. But while most people were staying home and following health protocols, a wild theory started gaining traction. What if COVID-19 was all a big hoax? Some people online began claiming that the whole pandemic was either invented or exaggerated for political, financial, or social reasons.
I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedom.
It's like a real-life plot straight out of a movie. The conspiracy theorists argue that the virus was intentionally engineered or overblown by governments and big pharma to manipulate the masses. They pointed to the speed of vaccine development and the global restrictions as evidence that something fishy was going on. It didn't help that the media coverage was non-stop, with everyone talking about COVID, which led some to think that the whole thing was being used to control people and make money. But here's the reality check. COVID-19 is as real as it gets. We're talking about a virus that has been studied, sequenced, and traced back to animals like bats, and it didn't just pop up overnight. Scientists around the world confirmed its spread and worked together to develop vaccines, not to cash in, but to stop the global devastation it caused.
Can I ask you personally what it's been like?
I never felt so stressed in my life. I'm an intensivist and I'm quite used to, intense moment and choices and people are critical and will die without any, treatment, and you make the difference. But when you arrive at this point, you realize that you are not enough. And maybe we are 100 anesthetists here. We are doing our best.
The virus's reach was massive. Millions of cases, millions of funerals, and no amount of online forums could erase those facts. The fake pandemic theory? It's just fiction. Shadow Syndicate.
Gathered to inaugurate a new secret society, the Order of Perfectibles.
This rabbit hole goes deep. If you believe the internet, and let's be real, sometimes it's too convincing, then nothing you see is truly random. Every headline, award show, financial crash, and war is part of a hidden blueprint crafted by one group, the Illuminati. According to the theory, this ancient secret society never went away. It just went underground. The Illuminati was a real thing, founded in 1776 in Bavaria.
And that his secret society may have achieved power and influence beyond anything he could have imagined in 1776.
Their goal? Spread Enlightenment ideas and push back against religious control.
This necessitated destruction of Christianity and all other forms of religion. It also meant the annihilation of all governments.
But they were banned just a few years later. That should have been the end of it, except it wasn't. Modern believers say the Illuminati faked their disappearance and quietly took control of, well, everything. Celebrities flashing weird hand signs, triangles and eyeballs in music videos, even cryptic symbols on your money. They claim it's all proof that the world's elite are part of this group. The theory says these members run banks, governments, tech companies, and media, all while prepping for a one-world government. Skeptics say there's zero proof. Historians laugh it off, pointing out that the actual Illuminati barely lasted a decade. Still, people don't let it go. Why? Because something about it feels true in a world where billionaires, secret meetings, and global influence exist behind closed doors. So is the Illuminati still out there, puppeteering humanity from the shadows? Or is it just a really addictive story we keep telling ourselves to make sense of chaos? Paul! No, Paul!
Australians, I'm sure, when you think of the Beatles' tours to Australia, it's hard for an Australian to believe that you three guys who remain don't get on.
In 1969, a bizarre theory exploded across college campuses, radio stations, and underground magazines. Paul McCartney had passed away and had been for years. The story goes like this. Sometime in late 1966, Paul was in a car crash. Instead of announcing it and risking mass hysteria and breaking up the most famous band on Earth, the Beatles supposedly replaced him with a lookalike Billy Billy Shears, a man who looked like Paul, sang like Paul, but wasn't Paul. Fans didn't just believe it, they hunted for proof. They pointed at the Abbey Road album cover, where Paul walks barefoot like a corpse, while the others dress as a funeral procession. They spun vinyls backwards to hear secret messages. Turn me on, dead man. They stared at Sgt. Pepper's cover art, which looked like a grave. It became a national obsession. But Paul McCartney has always been subscribed to life, just like how you should subscribe to my channel. He's been alive, making music, and poking fun at the theory ever since. He even titled a 1993 live album, Paul is Live, just to mess with everyone. The Beatles themselves said they loved throwing in weird, cryptic stuff just to stir things up. And stir it did. Still, for a generation hooked on rebellion, psychedelia, and hidden messages, the idea that Paul had been swapped out by a government-backed clone or an MI5-approved doppelganger was just too good to let go.
I think your favorite things that you've accomplished personally and in your career? Two different answers.
Accomplished?
Yeah, what are your favorite accomplishments?
Well, there's been a lot.
Yeah.
The Ed Sullivan Show was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Lunar Mirage.
God would not have created these worlds without also creating intelligent beings there to appreciate them.
What if I told you that the moon, the glowing orb we've gazed at for millennia, isn't what it seems? Some conspiracy theorists argue that it's not a celestial body at all, but rather a sophisticated hologram projected into our sky. Proponents of this idea suggest that the moon is an artificial projection, possibly orchestrated by governmental agencies or extraterrestrial beings. They point to the moon's consistent appearance, its synchronous rotation, always showing the same face to Earth, and certain perceived anomalies in its surface features as evidence supporting their claims. Supporters often highlight the moon's consistent presentation of only one hemisphere to Earth is seen as suspicious and indicative of artificial manipulation. Some claim that the patterns and formations on the moon's surface appear too uniform or exhibit characteristics inconsistent with natural celestial bodies. The scientific community firmly refutes the hologram theory. Extensive research and lunar missions have provided concrete evidence of the moon's physical presence and composition. The phenomena cited by conspiracy theorists, such as synchronous rotation, are well explained by gravitational interactions between the Earth and the moon. While the idea of the moon being a hologram is intriguing and taps into the allure of cosmic mysteries, it lacks credible evidence and is contradicted by substantial scientific research.
Life had been discovered on the moon. Life including unicorns and beavers that walked on their hind legs. The crowning touch of it was the discovery of the so-called man bat. The Vespertilio homo was supposedly the Latin name.
Dark rock and roll.
Where do the words come from?
Real life books, television.
Yeah, and you just skim them and start including...
No, man, when I'm working, I hear them, and I just throw them down.
The tragic passing of iconic musicians like Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, and Janis Joplin at the age of 27 have given rise to the notion of the 27 Club. This urban legend suggests that artists who achieve fame often meet untimely ends at this specific age, sometimes attributing their demise to supernatural pacts or curses. The concept gained prominence in the late 1960s and early 1970s, when several prominent musicians passed away at 27, including Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Jim Morrison. These coincidental events led to speculation about a mystical significance attached to the age. However, research indicates that the perception of a statistical spike in mortality at this age is more myth than reality. Studies have shown that musicians do not have a higher mortality rate at 27 compared to other ages. For instance, a study analyzing the ages of thousands of musicians who passed away between 1950 and 2010 found that only 1.3% passed away at 27, with more musicians passing away at ages 28 and 56. Additionally, Research from the University of California, Davis suggests that while the 27 Club myth lacks statistical support, the heightened attention to these artists has amplified their cultural impact. While the 27 Club remains a captivating narrative in popular culture, evidence does not support the idea that musicians are more prone to visit God at this age. Plane, not planet. Imagine waking up to find that everything you've been taught about our planet's shape is a lie. The belief in a flat Earth, once a relic of ancient civilizations, has made a dramatic comeback in the 21st century, fueled by internet forums and social media platforms. Communities have formed online, passionately arguing that the Earth is not a spinning sphere, but a flat, stationary plane. This resurgence has sparked debates, documentaries, and even conferences dedicated to the flat Earth theory. Proponents of this theory, like Eric Dubay, present several arguments to challenge the mainstream scientific consensus. They claim that photographs depicting a round Earth are fabricated, alleging a massive cover-up by space agencies worldwide. Additionally, they question the existence of gravity, suggesting that what we perceive as gravitational pull is merely the result of the Earth accelerating upward. Some also point to personal observations, such as the seemingly flat horizon and the inability to detect Earth's curvature in everyday life, as evidence supporting their beliefs. On the other side of the debate, the scientific community offers extensive evidence supporting the Earth's spherical shape. Images from space missions, satellite data, and circumnavigation records consistently depict a round planet. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station have captured real-time footage showing Earth's curvature. Moreover, phenomena such as time zones, the Coriolis effect, and the way ships disappear, hull first over the horizon, align with a spherical Earth model. However, even from independent rockets or long-distance photography, the curvature cannot be seen. And it only appears when there is a fisheye lens used, according to flat earthers. So maybe there could be some truth to it. What do you think? Been 84 years. Sometimes the mystery is more unsinkable than a ship. They say the most famous shipwreck in history might not have been the Titanic at all. Yeah, you heard that right. Some believe it was her nearly identical twin, the Olympic, that actually sank that night in 1912, and that the whole thing was a massive insurance scam gone way too far. Here's what they say. The Olympic, Titanic's older sister ship, had already been through a rough patch, collided with another vessel, banged up, and allegedly not making White Star Line the kind of money they hoped for. So conspiracists believe a sinister plan was hatched. Swap the damaged Olympic with the brand new Titanic, send it on one doomed voyage, and cash in big on the insurance. The real Titanic, they claim, sailed on under the name Olympic for years afterward. People who believe this theory point to things like mismatched portholes in old photographs, changes to the deck layouts, and confusing testimony from survivors. Some even claim the ship's nameplates were tampered with or switched in dry dock. But here's the catch. There's zero solid proof. Historians and maritime experts have debunked the idea over and over. The Titanic's construction, passenger list, and damage report after the sinking all line up. Plus, there was no insurance payout big enough to justify such a crazy risk. Not to mention the remains, the loss, the aftermath. That's a lot of real pain for a supposedly fake tragedy. It's got just enough eerie details and shady coincidences to keep it alive on message boards and YouTube rabbit holes. Covering up everything. Deep in the Nevada desert lies Area 51, a United States military installation shrouded in secrecy and speculation. Established in the 1950s, its clandestine operations have fueled rumors of extraterrestrial encounters and government cover-ups, especially following the infamous Roswell incident in 1947. This event, involving the recovery of mysterious debris near Roswell, New Mexico, sparked widespread theories about crashed alien spacecraft and secretive government activities. Over the decades, numerous individuals have reported unidentified flying objects, UFOs, in the vicinity vicinity of Area 51. These accounts, combined with the base's restricted access and the government's initial reluctance to acknowledge its existence, have led many to believe that the site harbors evidence of alien life and technology. In the late 1980s, claims from individuals alleging to have worked at Area 51 further amplified these theories, suggesting that the government was examining recovered alien spacecraft there. In response to growing public curiosity, the United States government declassified several documents related to Area 51. These revelations indicated that the base was primarily used for testing advanced military aircraft, such as the U-2 spy plane during the Cold War era. The Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, has stated that many UFO sightings in the area were likely test flights of these high-altitude aircraft, which were unfamiliar to civilians and even military personnel at the time. No concrete evidence has been provided to substantiate claims of extraterrestrial life or technology being housed at Area 51. The government's continued secrecy surrounding certain operations at the base, however, ensures that speculation remains alive.
The federal government was forced to acknowledge the existence of the Area 51 base because of a Freedom of Information Act request. It took them over a decade to actually respond, but in the end, they eventually had to admit what everybody already knew, which was that Area 51 did exist.
Trailing the Chems.
Is this idea that's out there that the government is spraying chemicals out of the backside of airplanes to control the population or change the climate.
There's a theory that turns a normal day into a government experiment, one where every streak in the sky is more than just vapor. Since the 1990s, people have believed those long, cloudy lines left behind by planes known as contrails aren't just water and engine exhaust. Instead, they say they're chemtrails, chemical agents secretly sprayed to control the weather, the population, or even your thoughts. Yep, real-life mind control from the sky.
Aerosol injection that actually are harmful to human health and our ecosystem health as well. So natural systems such as soil, water, and air are being impacted.
Believers claim these trails behave differently from normal contrails. They stay for longer, spread wider, and cover the sky like a giant white web. According to them, this isn't a coincidence. It's coordination. They say governments, in collaboration with shadowy organizations, are using commercial aircraft to spray who knows what for experiments they'll never admit to. But here's the other side. Scientists call this total bunk. According to NASA, the FAA, and every weather expert who's looked into it, contrails are just ice crystals formed when hot engine exhaust meets the freezing air up high. And yes, depending on humidity and wind, they can hang around for hours. That's not a conspiracy. It's basic physics. Numerous studies, including one from Carnegie Science in 2016, found zero evidence of chemicals in these trails. But let's be honest, some days, when the sky is filled with perfect, crisscrossing lines, it does look a little too organized, doesn't it?
If you look up here, you can see all these clouds. These are jet contrails.
Lizards everywhere. Let's get weird for a second. The world's most powerful leaders and celebrities, those we see on our screens and read about in the news, aren't actually human. Instead, they're shape-shifting reptilian aliens from another galaxy, pulling the strings and controlling everything from world politics to the media. Sounds like a plot straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? Well, that's the heart of the Reptilian Elite theory. The theory, popularized by conspiracy theorist David Icke, suggests that reptilian aliens, disguised as influential figures, are secretly ruling the world. Proponents claim that these reptilian overlords manipulate global events to create chaos and control humanity. To back up these wild claims, they point to some pretty bizarre evidence, like strange eye movements or hand gestures made by politicians or celebrities. If they catch someone blinking strangely or making a suspicious motion with their their hands. It's evidence, apparently, of their true reptilian form. A little odd, yes, but that's what makes it so intriguing to some people. However, when it comes to cold, hard facts, there's no credible evidence to support the idea that world leaders or celebrities are anything other than human. We've got decades of documented history, scientific research, and a whole lot of bodyguards keeping an eye on these public figures, and no alien-scale secrets have been uncovered. The theory has been debunked by experts countless times, but it continues to thrive in certain online communities that love the thrill of a good mystery. CIAs.
Well, today, the LGBTQ community is able to openly celebrate the freedom to be themselves. That wasn't the case in the early 80s.
When the AIDS epidemic first emerged in the 1980s, it spread rapidly, shocking the world. As fear grew, so did conspiracy theories. One of the most persistent claims was that the CIA or other secret organizations created the virus intentionally. According to this theory, the virus was engineered as a biological weapon designed to target specific populations, particularly minorities or those marginalized by society. Some even argue it was a form of population control. This theory tapped into the broader fear of governmental overreach and biological warfare. However, the idea that the CIA was involved in creating AIDS is rooted in misinformation. In reality, extensive scientific research has traced the origins of HIV to natural animal-to-human transmission, likely from primates in Africa. The virus has been around for longer than we originally understood, with the first documented cases of HIV dating back to the 1960s, decades before AIDS was even recognized as a disease. Experts have debunked the idea of a government conspiracy, showing that the spread of HIV is a tragic but natural result of human interaction with animals and the global spread of disease, not a sinister plot by shadowy agencies. Despite the lack of credible evidence, the CIA-created AIDS theory continues to linger in some circles, often fueled by mistrust of the government and its actions. While the truth behind the virus is far more tragic and complex, the myth of an intentional biological weapon remains one of the more enduring conspiracies linked to AIDS.
People here are celebrating. They're celebrating their liberation, their freedom to come out of the closet and to be gay people unafraid. They hope and they fear, but they are walking out of the closet and in such great numbers that they are encouraged with themselves to think that they won't be stuffed back in the closets by anybody else.
Pyramid builders.
Ever since the first studies of the Great Pyramid in Egypt have been made, researchers have been amazed at the mathematical knowledge that is encoded into the Great Pyramid, the measurements that are used in it. Even the placement of the Great Pyramid has aroused great interest among Egyptologists.
For centuries, the Great Pyramid of Giza has inspired awe and wonder, but for some, its sheer size and precision have raised questions that seem to defy logic. Enter the theory that aliens, not the ancient Egyptians, were responsible for constructing this colossal structure using advanced technology. Advocates of this theory point to the pyramid's remarkable precision, alignment with celestial bodies, and the sheer scale of the project, suggesting that such feats were beyond the capabilities of ancient humans. Could extraterrestrials have provided the ancient Egyptians with otherworldly knowledge to build this ancient wonder? The theory gained traction with the rise of pseudoscience and ancient astronaut theories, especially popularized by shows like Ancient Aliens. Enthusiasts argue that the advanced understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering needed to build the pyramid could not have been developed by a primitive civilization. The idea that the pyramid's construction aligns with the stars in ways that ancient humans could not have possibly known is seen as evidence of alien intervention. However, archaeological evidence overwhelmingly supports that the Egyptians, through a combination of skilled labor, innovative engineering, and determination, built the pyramids themselves. The methods they used, such as ramps and levers, have been well documented by researchers and historians. While it is true that the construction of the pyramids was an impressive feat, it's certainly within the realm of possibility that human ingenuity made it happen.
You look at the Great Pyramid's alignment,
It's aligned very, very close to true north. Even more interesting is to think about tracking back in time, because the Earth's axis has been shifting slowly. It's what we call precesses. And so if there's been a shift in that alignment, it could be that it was even more accurately aligned to north in the past when they built it.
Real Atlantis.
Plato was one guy living in Athens 2,400 years ago. He had some really good ideas. Ideas about justice, education, government, science, and a bunch of other things that influenced how our Western society developed. Pretty influential and credible guy.
For thousands of years, the legend of Atlantis has fascinated historians, explorers, and conspiracy theorists alike. The myth, first described by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, tells of a magnificent and advanced civilization that suddenly sank beneath the sea after angering the gods. Some believe that this story wasn't just a tale, but a reflection of a real, lost civilization that once thrived and disappeared mysteriously. Proponents of this theory point to Plato's detailed descriptions of Atlantis, claiming that the advanced technologies, elaborate architecture, and prosperous society he described could only have come from a real place. The timing of Atlantis's fall, said to occur around 9,000 years before Plato's time, has led some to speculate that the lost city could have been an actual ancient society whose rise and fall was distorted over time. But while the story of Atlantis continues to captivate, there is no solid evidence to support the existence of such a city. Archaeological searches have turned up no conclusive proof of Atlantis, despite theories placing it in various parts of the world, ranging from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean and even Antarctica. Geologists and historians tend to dismiss the idea, explaining that Plato's writings were more likely a philosophical allegory about the dangers of hubris, rather than a historical account. Despite the lack of evidence, the idea of a sunken civilization continues to capture the imagination of many, keeping the legend alive in popular culture and inspiring a variety of speculative theories. Global control. The New World Order, or NWO conspiracy theory, has been around for decades, suggesting that a hidden elite group is secretly orchestrating a global government, with plans to control every facet of life on Earth. According to proponents, this secret cabal consists of influential leaders, business magnates, and even royalty who meet behind closed doors to push their agenda of worldwide domination. One of the main evidences cited by conspiracy theorists is the Bilderberg Group, an annual meeting of powerful individuals from politics, finance, and the media. While these meetings are private and often spark suspicion, they are not out of the ordinary for high-profile figures. The theory also leans heavily on the idea that global events like wars, economic crises, and social unrest are part of a master plan to consolidate power and eliminate national borders. When examined under a critical lens, the theory falls apart. There is no concrete evidence of a secret, coordinated plot to create a one-world government. While it's true that powerful individuals have significant influence, the existence of such a shadowy conspiracy lacks credible proof. In fact, the theory often overestimates the level of coordination possible among the world's diverse political and corporate leaders. Most experts argue that the meetings and decisions made by groups like the Bilderberg Group are more about discussing global issues than about plotting a sinister world takeover. Powerful figures may push their interests, but a globally unified agenda for total control remains highly unlikely. Or does it? It's time for a really big conspiracy theory. Oh, I meant subscribers' pick of the day. What if the most iconic moment in human history, the first footsteps on the moon, wasn't a giant leap for mankind, but a carefully orchestrated show? After Apollo 11 touched down in 1969, conspiracy theorists went wild, claiming that the entire mission was staged to beat the Soviets in the space race. Could the US government really have faked it? The evidence presented might just surprise you. The biggest claim? The American flag planted on the moon, seemingly waving in the wind. Something that should be impossible in the airless vacuum of space. But that's not all. The photos taken on the lunar surface showed strange shadows, odd lighting, and a complete lack of stars. Could this all point to a massive cover-up? But wait, NASA wasn't going to leave that unanswered. Experts quickly debunked the theories with some mind-bending science. The flag's movement? It's due to the flag being twisted into the ground with force, causing ripples in the low-gravity environment. As for the lighting, lunar dust and the moon's uneven surface caused weird shadow patterns. And the stars? Simply too faint to appear with the camera's settings that were designed to capture the bright surface of the moon. Despite the conspiracy theories, the evidence in favor of the moon landing being real is overwhelming. The technology, the moon rocks, and the scientific achievements from Apollo 11 speak for themselves. Some of these theories have been debunked with scientific evidence, while others still linger in the shadows of the internet. Whether fact or fiction, they remind us that mystery, uncertainty, and the allure of the unknown will always captivate the human mind.